Hey guys, what's up? It is Seatin here on expert tanking, cleric style. I've kind of had like a few inboxes and Facebook, well, not Facebook messages, YouTube messages even, saying that a few of you guys are having a bit of trouble tanking experts and want a bit of kind of advice on what to do. Now, I think tanking in this game is pretty easy and straightforward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just do loads of videos around doing experts. I mean, this is all being done live commentary, so it may properly suck, but we'll see how it happens. So I'm just going to show you how I sort of handle the various situations in this dungeon Archive of Flesh. Now the first thing is well, you have to go around awakening 4 of these patchwork horrors, and they have a few ads that come with them. The main thing is that I know through running this multiple times that the only real threat is the patchwork horrors, so I focus on getting the main threat on them, and then the ads, when they come closer, I'll just use even justice to cleave them, and then pretty much pick them up like that. So there's got to be one knocking about here. You want to also avoid Tazul, just a pro tip guys, because he cannot be tanked and he will one shot. So yeah, as you see, I used a couple of single target attacks on the patchwork horror, and then just a couple of even justice to get the other mobs really. So it's fairly straightforward. I mean, for this cleric tanking spec, I have two kind of macros. I have a single target one, and actually I don't have an AoE macro. I have my strongest single target spell, Doctrine of Authority, not in a macro because I don't like using it in a macro. I prefer to have it on its own bar just because it is really strong, and it's kind of like if you hit it, then pretty much whatever target I have targeted, it will aggro because it's a really strong attack. So I do love that. So in regards to sort of convictions and conviction building, a really good thing to use is Hammer of Faith, which basically will send out a hammer that bounces between targets and get you aggro on all of them pretty damn easily. If you're going straight for single target, then you want to use Hammer of Duty. Now, a lot of people think cleric tanking is mainly about conviction spam, but that's kind of it's a bit sort of old hat really. You'll get a lot more aggro from using a nicely timed Hammer of Faith than just spamming convictions, so I'd probably suggest doing that. In regards to cooldowns, I mean, you have Just Defense, which is the one that I always pop first if I'm sort of just dropping below about 50% health, and basically it puts a big shield on me, which absorbs 50% of my health. I use it first just due to the fact it has a very short cooldown. It's only got 1 minute cooldown. Also, the full heal has a 1 minute cooldown as well, but that's sort of my really old shit button. And then I have Resplendent Embrace, which has a slightly longer cooldown, and I use it for periods where I know there's going to be really heavy damage and I need to beef up my health a bit, which in my gear and sort of experts doesn't happen too often. I mean, I just end up using Just Defense. So just going on to tanking bosses is really straightforward on a cleric to keep aggro. I think the main thing to know before you actually go into experts and start tanking them is actually where to position the bosses. Like Tazul needs to be positioned here so that the spikes from the back are getting jammed into his backside, which is taking away the shield, which means that I'm doing less damage. Well, which means that he gets a damage reduction, and then people can actually DPS him because he starts off being totally immune to damage, and now he is taking 25% increased damage. So that's pretty good, allowing my party to start bursting him down. I don't think they're a terribly good DPS in this group, but they're doing an alright job. It will satisfy for the run. So fairly straightforward, single target. I just mash the macro, use Doctrine of Authority whenever it's soft cooldown, and Hammer of Duty whenever I have 7 stacks of conviction. You only want to use it at 7 because that's where it does the most damage, so you're wasting some global cooldowns if you do it when you don't have 7. So let's bring him over to the other side. Hopefully the group will move as well, and let's slightly reposition him. And got hit by a spike then, which is an ideal scenario. Now, in regards to using Total Assurance, it's quite good if you just want to literally throw out a big Hammer of Duty. I mainly use it for group pack pulling. So, say for example, I mean, this is fairly rare in experts in all honesty, but when you just have 3 mobs knocking about together, you can use Total Assurance and then use Hammer of Faith, and that pretty much secures your aggro initially on them, and it's a really good way to do things. Now, yeah, when you just need to clear out the trash in this room, and it's fairly straightforward. It comes in small waves, and literally this bit is extremely mind-numbingly boring. We got to kill 30 of these, and ideally not let them get to the bottom of the archive. Not that it really makes any difference, but if you manage to kill 30 of them before sort of the timer's up, even if there is no visual timer, then you get a nice little bit of bonus planner achievement XP, along with the XP you get from killing them, which is, you can't complain. Better to kill them than just ignore them. So, I mean, if anybody has any questions about Cleric tanking, it's just stupidly straightforward in my honest opinion. You can just put everything in a macro. A lot of people might be wondering why I use Strike of Judgment. Well, I don't use Strike of Judgment. It's because I'm far too lazy, actually. That's more of a reason, which is a terrible one. It actually deals a tiny bit more damage than Reckoning, but I really can't be asked to use it. It just seems so pointless. I'm very lazy when it comes to that. So literally I prefer just to have everything in one macro. The only time you would need to use Strike of Judgment is if for some reason, like, the mob has a mana drain and you find yourself needing to put on Purpose, which basically causes your melee attacks to regenerate a bit of mana. Then that is the time to use Strike of Judgment, because otherwise, you're not going to get any mana back from just spamming Reckoning. And also using Reckoning gives you a constant sort of movement speed increase of 15%, which is pretty damn cool. Means you can move about faster, especially in a group like this when they're not clicking the levers and they're not very coordinated. It means you can do all the tasks for yourself, and it's brilliant. The thing I love about Cleric tanking, I think if you want to get into tanking and you want to have an easy time, and it's the most fun because it's just so straightforward to play, I think, and also the fact that you're doing a fair bit of healing. Every time I attack, my group gets sort of a 600 to 1k heal, and then I've got a combat res, I've got a charge, I can do whatever I want. It's really fun. It's really easy if you want to go for like crazy pulls. I mean, when you're pulling sort of 10 plus targets, which again is a very rare scenario in expert dungeons, that is sort of the time that you want to consider using Doctrine of Loyalty. I mean, because Hammer of Faith only deals up to damage to up to 5 targets, so it's a bit restricted in that area. So when there's more than 5 targets, that is the time to use Doctrine of Loyalty. Or maybe if they're really scattered and going for the healer, then you might want to use a Doctrine of Loyalty as well. It's really up to your personal judgment, because it's always very hard to sort of advise people how to play a tank, because there is no sort of set rotation. It's kind of, you've got this set of skills, you need to see what happens, and then you need to be aware of what you can use in what scenario. And hopefully, during this sort of very brief video, I'm kind of helping you to be aware of what you can use if shit does go down. Reminder, in the Cleric spec, I don't think I really rarely use them, right? But you have 2 taunts, big AoE taunts, which is Righteous Imperative, and also Rebuke. Now, the difference between the two is they're both on 1 minute cooldown. They do not share the same cooldown, but Rebuke basically will grip all of the targets it's affected by towards you. So it's especially good for sort of bringing in big packs of casters and range mobs and getting them together, and yeah, it serves a good purpose there. So as you can see there, I made a bit of a slip up. Well, I don't know if it was me or the game actually. I ran past these patchwork horrors and the one to the right didn't activate, so we're gonna blame that on the game for now. Okay, get these 2 down. As you can see, because there's more than 1 target, I'm using my convictions to use Hammer of Faith instead of Hammer of Duty, which basically will easily secure my aggro on both of the targets. I could also use Even Justice to attack both of them, but it's I just prefer single targeting, because it also helps to get one of the mobs down quicker. Because if I use Even Justice, it's about sort of it's about the same damage between them as it would be if I used a Reckoning on a single target mob. But as always, to make it life easier for the healer, you always want to try and single target one of the mobs, unless you're stupendously overgeared like myself. Then you can just AoE to your heart's content. So let's go around and see if we can find any more of these patchwork horrors. And taunt. So I'm probably, just for now guys, I'm probably going to cut the video and then come back in a couple of minutes when we're on to a bit more interesting trash, because there's not too much to show you around these parts. So be right back. Okay, so I'm going to start this again. So as you can see, the healer and pretty much everybody apart from me and this other guy have died to mechanics, and there's still 20% health left on this boss. Now, the incredible thing about cleric tanking is just due to the healing and sort of survivability that we have, we can easily recover this if that guy doesn't die to AoE, and he has died to AoE. So now it looks like it is up to me to solo the remaining 300k of this boss, which is astoundingly brilliant. You know, I cannot wait to do all of this. Now, I still have a plethora of cooldowns left. I've only popped my big shield. So, usually in this scenario, I'm going to wait till about 10% health to use my full heal. Just due to the fact that, you know, she's not getting me down that fast, and I want to make the most out of it. So, let's get it out. Continue spamming my single target macro. I think the main problem here I'm going to have is I may run out of pedestals before I actually managed to kill her, so that's kind of a bit of an enraged check on my behalf. And as I mentioned about the earlier problem, I am actually having issues of mana at the moment. As you can see, I'm almost running out, so let's see what I can do in regards to this. Hopefully, let's get it up. Okay, it looks like we're on 21% health. Get ready for another flood the hall soon, so I need to be near a pedestal. See if I can make the jump onto that. Brilliant. And then throw it back with a hammer. And almost time to use my full heal. I need to be ready for this. I might use the shield before I use the heal. Yeah, I'll go for that. Seems like a much better option. And it appears I only have 3 pedestals left. Brilliant. So this is certainly going to be a fun encounter. Okay, we're getting there. Only 100k to go now. Hopefully I won't fail at another pedestal. And let's start running to this one. Yeah, let's get up here. And brilliant. Oh, she's going down, hopefully. Hopefully I can get her down before a really, really awkward pedestal. There are no pedestals left now. Fuck! Oh, shit. How the hell am I going to handle this? Bollocks. Oh, God. Oh. No pedestals left. Brilliant. This is a dream come true. It's going to be a flood the halls any second now. Oh, bollocks. Come on. How are the righteous? Crit. Oh! Fucking hell! That was the highlight of my instance running career. I genuinely cannot believe that just happened. Oh, okay. I'm really, really proud of that. Anyways, guys, on to some trash once I've rezzed all these guys out. So, moving on to sort of the last small segment of this guide, I'm going to do this kind of large trash pack pull, which is often considered quite difficult, just due to the fact that these mobs are extremely rowdy and they love knocking people back. So what I do is I'm kind of mixing and using Censure with Doctrine of Loyalty at the moment. Apparently these DPS are going a bit nuts at the moment. So I think the best thing to do in this scenario is I'm just spamming Convictions to generate aggro. Unfortunately, these guys don't know that standing near these mobs will get you bursted down pretty quickly just due to their splash and AoE with their Unreal Burst. I don't think I've actually lost aggro on anything though. They kind of target people randomly, but no, it looks like I pulled that one fairly off. I'll chuck this guy res though. A lot of something you're definitely going to find is DPS are very, very hungry. They always want to attack the mobs and, you know, keep on mashing out and just get #1 on the damage meters. So yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to be prepared to deal with that. But you know, if people are like, "Yo, tank, you suck," you just have to be like, "Dude, wait a few seconds for me to get aggro, and then you won't suck so much. I won't appear to suck so much." Because, like, literally the damage to DPS ratio, I mean, the max you can output as a cleric tank is probably, like, 3 to 4k AoE, you know, it's not terribly big, whereas some DPS can do, like, stupid numbers, like 80k in experts on sort of about 6 packs, 6 mobs even. So yeah, you just got to be aware that DPS is sometimes stupendously high, and it is not always your fault. They need to give you a few seconds, and if any DPS are watching this, you know, wait a few seconds, because that's polite, that's manners, and it's going to get you far, and also save you 30 gold on a repair bill. Remember, you can do a lot more DPS when you're alive, as opposed to dead. So yeah, this pack are kind of just punted me about. I should probably stay near the wall, but the only thing I don't like is, look, if I stay near the wall, then I've got, look, I got this view. This isn't exciting for a video, and plus I continually get bounded into the scenery and beaten up. So yeah, that pack was a bit more difficult. I mean, we had a few deaths there due to people standing in their splash AoE and not being ranged, but we got through it. So I'll just do a bit on Animator Kahil as well, because this is actually a fight that incorporates an ad that needs to be tanked as well as an interrupt. So, and there's also a lot of movement in this. Again, guys, if you're looking to tank experts, my earlier advice is literally just have a quick read through the tactics. Just make sure you have a rough idea of what's going on, because in this one you're like, oh, what are all the AoEs doing? So, you know, you have to move from the AoEs and move the boss from the AoEs, and also avoid the ground AoE and whatnot. See, he's putting down that fisher, yep. So, the ad comes in, and what he'll want to do is, well, try to empower that ad, so you ideally want to interrupt that boss. As you can see, unfortunately there I was a bit distracted by just putting a hit on the ad. I should probably put the boss on focus. That, unfortunately, he got a stack of that. And he got empowered, which means he has a little knockback ability. So let's try and get this new ad a bit. So earlier we'll throw a hammer at it, which basically means we don't need to aggro it anymore, because that will be enough aggro until it dies. Just kind of, I think the way aggro works is imagine your damage and then times it by 10, and then I believe that's sort of roughly how it works in this game. Just from my experiences, you know, of people being able to hold aggro. I mean, it does vary from ability and classes, but that's a rough idea, you know. Imagine you're dealing 10 times your damage. So, avoid fissures. The group is moving with me clearly. If I use AoE attacks, you'll notice instead of there being one big salvation heal, you'll get two small ones, which can be fairly beneficial. I mean, if you have two targets, basically what it's going to do is it's going to heal the same as if it was on one target, but if you have three or more targets, if you cleave, it's going to heal a lot more than it does on one target. So basically, if you have more than two targets, it's really beneficial to your group healing. If you want to, you know, help healing with your group, to actually just spam even justice and cleave the ads. This fight gets a bit difficult towards the end. As you can see, you know, more and more circles are appearing with every round, so you just got to stay in the clear areas so you can allow the melee DPS, like this friendly warrior guy here, who is Seatin, a Blood Iron, to you know, DPS and continue to mash out the enormous numbers that he is not kind of doing. But you know, he's getting there. He's still a pretty new kid, you know. Give him time and 30 minutes on the Warrior forums, and yeah, it'll be down for it. So as you can see, what I did there was I actually used Righteous Mandate and then Reprieve. It's due to the fact that Righteous Mandate, whenever it's linked to your target and you use Reprieve, 50% of your cleric's, well, of your maximum health is healed on that target. So basically, I just chucked him a 35k heal when I used my full heal, which allowed him to stay alive and allowed us to kill the boss pretty easily. So yes, that is another pro cleric tip. You can use it as a sort of quick cooldown. You've got to be fairly sort of swift with it, though, if you do want to use it. But you know, that's a good trick. If you see somebody's about to die, you can just quickly, you know, put Righteous Mandate on them and hit Reprieve. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much it for the cleric tanking guide. It has been a bit long-winded, but I hope you've learned a thing or two, and just, I mean, the main point is you see how I've done stuff, and maybe you can pick up a thing or two, because I'm not too good at explaining tanking. As I said, it is kind of like, here are the tools, you go and you make the best out of every situation with it. Once again, thank you for watching. Any feedback, anything at all, just leave it in the comments below. I love reading your comments, guys. So yeah, take care and enjoy the rest of your day.